So I said, I'm going to build a better way to do this. And I'm going to put it in a way that you get the information you need, but then you also get the results you need.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Proverbial Mind podcast. It is your host again, Samuel Oladeji, and here with me is Martine Salama. Martine Salama is the architect of how to go from the warrior's life. So that is going from a warrior to a warrior, creating a life of abundance for yourself. That is taking your perspective from a pessimist to an optimistic person, seeing life from a brighter standpoint. So if you're that person today, and I know that is quite common today with the whole energy in the society and the way things are going on, it's very easy to become pessimistic. It's very easy to go to the negative standpoint of life and situations. So if you're here today and you're probably at a low point, maybe something just happened to you and you're not feeling good about life or about things, Martin here today is going to give us a cheat code to run out of that situation and to go back into happiness and joy mood again. So, Martin, why don't you get us started with your background? How do you get into this? And what is this Warrior Code Life all about?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first thing is, Samuel, thank you for having me on your show. I'm excited to be here with you, and I'm excited to share with you and your audience about my own journey and how I got to where I am today. I'd like to say I woke up one day and everything was wonderful and everything was great. But, there were a lot of ups and downs in my life, which is part of most people's stories. I've never met anybody who's never had adversity. Have you,
Yep.
Samuel?
I've not seen. I mean, except from even the person that comes from a rich man family, you probably must have gone through some kind of problem at some point. Maybe someone broke your heart or someone betrayed you.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's got some kind of adversity that they've got in their life.
Yes,
It's just a part of the way of life is. So,
exactly.
and for me, a big part of it happened in about 2008.
Hmm.
My wife and I were working on a project for 5 years to build a multi-million-dollar health club and tennis center
Mm.
in New Jersey by what they call the Jersey Shore. And it took us 5 years because we were doing everything you needed to do in advance. We find the land, make sure that it was feasible to do. We went out and did a feasibility study, uh, get an architect and an engineer, go into the city and show them what we're doing to get their approval, go to the bank and hear, okay, this is good, this is not good, go find investors and all this. And the one thing that was holding us back more than anything was the city saying, okay, we like the project, but you need to show us what the plans are going to look like and what this is going to be and how it's going to impact the traffic and the parking. And, they just kept us sending us back to the drawing board, and, we kept on investing into the project, getting investors and putting our own money into it. So by the time it was 2008, we were over $3 million into this project. And we would go back to the bank and they're like, yeah, we love it. We think it's great. In 2006, 2007, they're like, we can't wait for you to, to get all your approvals. So here it is. It's the summer of 2008. Find out finally, the city says, okay, you're covered. You're cleared. Everything is good. We're ready for you to go and do what you want to do. We're so excited. Go to the bank. And the bank says, yeah, we're not lending the way we were before. I'm like, what are you talking about? For the last few years, it was like going to Costco when you went to the bank. You know how you could go to Costco and eat lunch for free
Yep.
just by going to the end of the aisles and they give you food?
Yep.
And that's kind of like what it was in the bank. They were lending money to anybody and everybody for anything. They're like, well, things are starting to change. I'm like, well, I don't care. Give me my money. They're like, no, sorry. A month later,
Hmm.
Bernie Madoff, the subprime loans, the financial world goes upside down. And where am I in this collapse of the house of cards? I'm on the bottom
Oh
and I
boy.
have nothing. I've lost all the money I've invested. I've lost all the money I borrowed my investors' money. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? And I went into a depression for about a year. And during that time, I stopped paying my mortgage. I stopped paying my car payments. A couple of months later, my son says, Dad, look outside. They were towing away my BMW.
Mm.
That's how bad it got. And that never happened to me before. I
Yeah.
was always good with everything, but I had nothing. And I was really down. I was depressed for about a year. And then about a year later, I'd gone through some therapy, through some coaching and some soul searching and saying, okay, what do I want to do now? And I decided because I had always been involved in community events, I
Mhm.
was always a leader. And as a leader, people come in and say, well, Brian, I can't do what you're doing. I'm like, but I don't want you to do what I'm doing. I want you to do what you're good at. Well, I don't know what
Exactly.
I'm good at. Well, let's talk about it. Let's find out. I realized I was coaching them on their potential, and they would come into the organization, into the community organizations, and help with what their strength was. So I realized I was a coach. So I decided to become a coach myself. And about 2 months before coach training was going to start was my 24th wedding anniversary. And my wife gave me a very interesting gift that day. You know what she said to me, Samuel?
No, what did she say?
She said, I want a divorce.
Oh no,
I'm like, there's 364 other days you can say this.
not
You
today.
have to pick our wedding anniversary to tell me I want a divorce? You can imagine how I felt. I felt like the world was falling all over me again.
That's like being hit with a I don't know 2,000 ton trailer.
Exactly. I felt like, why does this everything keep happening to me? Right. And I'm thinking, I'm already deciding that I'm going to go through and going to go to this, coach training, become a life coach. And I went to the school, and I even before this, I went to them. I said, "Look, I can't afford to pay you all right now, and I can't go get funding because my credit is in the garbage. It's in the
Yep.
trash." I said, "Let's make a number, and I promise every month I'll pay you." And we did. And he said, "Only thing is, you don't get certified until you finish paying off." I said, "That's a fair deal."
Mhm.
So I did that, and now this happens. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I think God was sending me a message saying, "Oh, you want to become a life coach? Well, let's make sure
You're
that
good.
you're down there and you're really down and you got to figure it out." I said, "Okay, I'm going to do it." And it was the best decision I ever made. And I look back at the gift my wife gave me on our 24th wedding anniversary. And other than my 4 children, it was the best gift she could have given me
Mm.
because it changed my life. And I went into coach training. And that first weekend, they said to me, "You don't have to be who you think you have to be or what anybody else thinks you should be. You could be whoever you want to be." Like, wow, nobody ever told me that before.
Yeah.
I was always told, this is what you're going to do. And me, I was a people pleaser from when I was a little boy. And I started to understand what it meant to be a people pleaser. Samuel, most people don't even recognize that they're people pleasers.
Yeah, because the society is programmed in a way that it makes you, it's just like a heads of sheep following an harbor that does not even, you don't even know if he has your best interest in mind. And I read this quote. I read this quote sometime or something like a motivational video like that on YouTube. And it says, if you don't decide for your life, the world and society will decide for you. And guess what they have for you? Nothing but
That's
shambles.
right.
All they
Right.
have for you is nothing. And
Right.
so
Exactly.
it's really dangerous to be people pleasing because everybody has their own agenda. Everybody have their own goal of what they want to achieve. And one thing I've learned about life too myself is if you don't put yourself sometimes first, you're gonna find yourself in a way that you don't like.
You're going to
And
find yourself last.
exactly, and it's going to screw everything up. It's going to screw. Now, I'm not saying that we should become greedy and become
Right. Of
self-centered
course.
and all that kind of stuff. But the fact is, if you're going to take care of people and help people, you first got to help yourself. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
be able to be on a good way, a good position. That's why they say in the airplane, when the plane want to crash, put on your life jacket before you put someone else's life jacket
That's
first.
right. Put your
Just
mask on first. How could you
exactly.
put on somebody else if you're not breathing?
Exactly. So, that is the whole ideology behind it. And
Right.
when you're people pleasing, oh boy, you can't do that because
Exactly.
you're gonna cut your life short, and that
Yep.
means the amount of people you can serve have significantly decreased over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So what I found out was that that's who I was because I thought it meant, oh, I just want to make everybody happy. You can't make everybody happy. It's
No.
just not possible. So I started with me. One, now I understood that I was a people pleaser. And what came as a result of that was as a people pleaser, I was a control freak because if I was going to please everybody, I wanted to make sure I was the one controlling the way it happened.
Yep.
Right. And also I needed recognition. I needed everybody to see that I was doing good. If I was going to please the people, I wanted the recognition for it.
Mm-hmm.
And when all these, and I took everything personally, everything that happened, if it didn't happen the way I thought it should be, and if I was in control, I thought they were attacking me. And when all these things weren't working, I had a very short temper. I would react to everything like a nuclear reactor. So I came back after this first weekend and I started learning about myself. And I wish it happened overnight, but it took time, which is probably a good thing. So, because it was sustainable and it's been for over 12 years now. And I said to myself, this is going to be the new way. I'm going to do things for me as long as I'm not hurting anybody else.
That's the right word.
I come first, as long as I'm not hurting anybody else. And, I was going through my divorce and part of me was still hoping that I was going to salvage it. So she would call and I would immediately want to make her happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, oh, that's where it's starting. And I needed to change that. So I started to make new ways of doing things and understanding the buttons that she was pushing, whether she was doing it consciously or subconsciously. I needed to disconnect those wires so that I could move forward and become a better me, not for my wife, not for my children, but for myself. And, unfortunately or fortunately, looking back now, learning so much as I did through coaching, the best thing she ever did was to ask me for the divorce, as I said earlier, because we never should have been married. That doesn't mean I don't, I regret being married to her. I had 25 years, many happy years, and I have 4 children, and now we have 8 grandchildren.
Mm.
So many good things happened. But if I look back now, maybe we shouldn't have gotten married because our values were never the same and we were always codependent.
Mm. That is profound that you say in terms of God intentionally making that happen to you just so that He can shift your focus from where it is to where it actually need to be, so that
Yeah.
then He can use you to touch many more lives. One thing I've studied about God so far over the years is when He wants to shape you, He takes away the things that you depend on the most, the things
Right.
that you make your idol, the things that you depend on other than Him and the mission He has given to you. It takes them away from you. And so those things get to you so deeply. They get to the deepest innermost of yourself and your
That's
soul.
right.
And then you start crawling back to look for help. And where else you gotta go? Nobody's gonna help you but Him. It's just
That's
like
right.
when I was in high school. I had a childhood whereby I was the last born of my family, and it was like I was always being picked on by my elder siblings. And that's just kind of the way it runs in Africa.
Me too.
The last sibling always have to do all the chores and all everything. So I hated it. I always get angry and pissed off every time they do that stuff. And many times as a little boy then I was defenseless, obviously. I couldn't fight for myself. Even if I try to fight my elder siblings, it's just one hand and they'll fling me away. And that'll be the end of the show.
Right.
And so, because of that, I became very stubborn and I became a little bit, mean to some extent just because of all that thing. And as a result of that, my mom decided to take me to a military high school, thinking, you're going to be good when you go there, you'll be fine. Because in elementary school, I caused a lot of trouble to her. Back
Right. They said the military school is going to knock you into shape.
Exactly. So outside of the house, I'm a gentle guy, very, very gentle and sweet. No trouble. I just
Right.
act in solitude. But inside the house within my family, it was a nuclear reactor disaster. I just screw everything over. And so my mom, because of that, took me there. And when I got to that school, I realized that life was actually different. I went through a lot. I realized that in order to get to where I need to be, I need to make certain decisions. I was given many, many options. by life, as being a young child. I was about 9, 10 years old then. And this military school is not, people don't take their children there. It's very rare, for you to take your children to a military school in Nigeria. But except if you're in the army, if your father is probably an army or air force or whatever, you might probably take your child there. So it was a very rare occurrence for a civilian to take their child to a Nigerian army school. But she took me there anyway. And I spent 6 years in that school. But here's one thing I learned from that 6 years in that school is you can never please everybody. You can't ever please everybody. And people are watching you. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Everything you do, they are watching you. The things you do, they are watching you. And the way you create your own legacy, your own nature, your own personality, your own style of life is by doing the right thing and being yourself in the process. Don't hurt
That's
anybody, like you said, but just do the right thing and be yourself. And that was what I was doing. I didn't care to please anybody. I mean, if this was what I thought was the right thing, I'm going to do it. And if it hurts you, if it pisses you off, well, I'm sorry, but this is what I thought is the right thing to do. And at
yeah.
that time, I got bullied sometimes by the big guys, but I was very stubborn, so I would never let them bully me. As a result of that, I would go and do a lot of training. Normally, the military would give us training, but I did extra training just
Wow.
to just to build myself further. I became very intimidating in just my appearance alone because of the extra training I was doing. And so sometimes those bullies see me, sometimes they freak out to want to come closer to me just because of what I've done to myself with the
Mhm.
training and the body posture that I adopted. But at the end of the day, because of the cheating and then the bullying that I've faced from my siblings, growing up, I developed the passion to want to help people, to want to protect the weak, to want to defend people who have no strength on their own. As a
Right.
result of that, I started looking out for the junior students and then some of my mates that are too small to defend themselves. And as a result of that, those bullies will always get angry and they always try to pick on me. Sometimes I just stay quiet and they do whatever it is they want to do and they walk away. It was a very lonely journey for me. And I went through that for like, it was the remaining 5 years of that school.
Wow.
Even in my fifth year was when I was awarded to be the president of the chapel then. I was in charge of like 1,000 plus student. I never knew that I was being watched all this while. When they called me to the podium to give me that the position in front of like 3,000 students, all of them were all hating and hating. I'm like, I don't know these people. Where did they know me from and stuff? And that's how they gave me that position. And many of the things that I did then was as a result of the lessons that I learned from the lonely journey and defending people and the bad guys coming to pick on me because of that, but I would not back down anyway. But defending those guys, I grew more closer to God, and it was a game changer for me. And some of those guys later came back to me after graduation and were like, man, thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing that for me, blah, blah, blah. I just realized the importance of following your heart and doing the truth. Because if I had had to go to the people pleaser method, I would have not changed those people's life that God used me to change in that process. And I would have
Right.
failed the assignment that He gave to me. And so
Fantastic.
you brought a great topic and it made me remember
Thank you.
this memory.
Wow, I'm so glad that happened. I'm so and very commendable. You should and they showed you that what you were doing, what you do every day, how you do anything is how you do everything. And
Yep.
the people saw it and they said, this is a leader. And that's why you became the president, because they saw you as a leader. They saw you as someone who stood up when it was necessary and did what was necessary. So good for you. Congratulations.
Thank God for that. It's God's
Yeah.
grace.
Yeah.
Okay, so Martine, now tell us about the Worrier to Worrier code.
Sure.
What is the process? How do
Yeah.
we how do we take through this journey?
So now here I am. I became a life coach. Originally, I was a divorce recovery coach.
Mm,
Makes sense. I just gone through a divorce and I came out the other side because of the coaching, ready to go on with my life. I was in a good place because I took in what I learned from the coaching. So I said, okay, let me coach other people on this thing because people that go through a divorce, they go through an emotional roller coaster. So I did that for a few years. And then as I developed, I realized I was loving my life and I wanted to expand it. And I wanted to show other people how they could love their life too. I was doing things like exercising, eating right, watching the right things, being coached correctly. And I was even doing something which was very difficult for me because I'm ADHD. I was meditating. Could you imagine an ADHD guy meditating?
I
My
mean,
brain's all over the place.
you probably run circles 5 times before you even sit down 3 minutes.
Exactly. But my brain just kept on going. I don't know how people stop. But one day when I was doing this guided meditation, I had this download of information that I was loving my life and I wanted to share it with others and show them how they could too. So after my 10-minute guided meditation, I wrote for 2 hours. And out of that came the acronym LIFE. Live incredibly full every day. Right? Now, I mean that in two ways. You should be a happy life and you should have a meaningful life. Happiness is self-love, self-care, even selfish. Meaningful is selfless, doing for others, okay? But not in a people pleaser way. You're doing it to give back to the community, to give back to the world, and in a productive, caring way. So for me, I realized you could be happy without meaning, and you could have meaning without being happy. So to me, live incredibly full every day came from that. So now here I am going through this, and I'm started to date, and I'm very happy to say I met a woman who our values were the same, and we dated for 2 years, and we've been married for almost over 6 years now. Okay, so we got married in 2018, and in 2020, something crazy happened in the world. Right?
COVID.
COVID, exactly. So we all got put into our houses and said, "Don't worry, it's only 2 or 3 weeks, and then everything will be fine."
No
Well,
way.
2 or 3 weeks went to months and all that stuff. And it was a few months later, it was May 2020. And I told my wife, we live in Brooklyn, New York. We said, let's go to Manhattan. So we took her kids, my stepchildren, and we went to New York City. Now, for anybody that's ever been to New York City, driving on the streets of New York is crazy. And it could
That's
take you
counterintuitive.
forever to get anywhere. But now this was COVID, and we drove straight down Fifth Avenue without missing a traffic light. That's how empty the streets were. And I'm looking around, Samuel. I'm saying, where is everybody? I said to my wife, Sarita, where is everybody? You could wear a mask. You could even put on gloves. You could stand 6 feet apart. You could go to the big, beautiful Central Park and stand and enjoy life, enjoy everything. What is everybody so worried about? And then it hit me. I understood why I was not worried. The last 10, 12 years of 2008, the divorce, going through everything I went through, I became stronger. So I got onto Facebook and I said, people, I get it. I know why you're nervous. I know why you're worried. But let me show you how to go from being somebody who's worried, if you're a warrior, to somebody who could be a warrior, who could overtake anything. And then that created my warrior to warrior course in my book and everything I do with that.
That is amazing because life is funny sometimes, and the things, and the day that me and you first met, that we had that short chat, I told you it was a blessing to talk to you that day
Was
because
for me too.
life sometimes just hits you at a different moment. I don't know if you've ever experienced this thing. You know what to do. You know the right thing to do. You've been through it before, but when it hits you again, you still find yourself worrying at times. Before
Yep.
you eventually reset back to default and say, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm not supposed to be worrying. I've been through this before, but I do struggle with that sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I know for sure that I've been there before. I've done this thing before, and I probably will survive it again, but I find myself worrying. And that thing you talked about, living incredibly full every day, is very important. Because look at it. Why do we worry? Why do we always stay in fear? It's because we are thinking that something will happen, even though we've not even seen it happen, or we don't have a guarantee that it's going to happen. But we are so covered with that negative thinking that it is going to happen. And we forgot the positive side of what could possibly happen. Why can't it not go left? Why should it always go right? But
Right.
living incredibly full every day means that you have what could possibly go wrong. At least that's what I learned from that word. What could possibly go wrong? What is on the line? What could possibly happen? I mean, I'm not the only one that been there before. I'm not gonna be
Right.
the only one who'll be there before. I'm
Right.
still alive. I'm waking up every
Exactly.
day. So why should I limit
Fantastic.
myself? It reminds me of Steve Jobs' words that says, if you live every day like it was your last, sooner or later you will be right eventually, but it will help you to make the right decision. It will help you to become more effective in the way you do things and the
That's
way,
right.
because all the fear of pride, all the ego, fear of embarrassment, fear of what are people gonna say, fear of, what would they say about me, or what if I fail, all of those things goes away because you're like, what if I die tomorrow? I don't want to be on my deathbed regretting why I didn't make that decision or why I didn't
Right.
take that step. So that live incredibly full every day. It's very powerful. It's aligned so much, with that. And that is what I learned from it. Did I capture it very
Fantastic.
well?
I love it. I love it. That's what's great about it. It's a message for whoever's looking for that message, and they can interpret it any way they want. And you took it in a way that's beautiful, fantastic. It's wonderful. So good. Congratulations for you on that. I'm so excited for you.
Great, great. I know life is beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. Life is beautiful. And so tell me about this seven-figure guaranteed business
Right.
package that you talked
Yeah.
that you told me about. Could
Hmm.
you share that more with the audience?
Absolutely. So, for many years, I was getting into coaching programs where they told me this is the program you need to be successful, to get out there and make an impact, and you can make a lot of money and affect and impact a lot of people. So I'm like, okay, great. I would jump in. I'm one of those people. I have what's known as shiny object syndrome. Oh, I gotta have it. This is going to be the thing. This is going to change my life. And I would get into these programs and I'd spend a lot of money. And then once I was in there, I was, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought. This isn't what they said. And what I realized was there were many done for you programs out there that they called themselves done for you programs or done with you programs. But really, what I found out they were done to you programs. They took your money and then they made a switch, what they call in America the bait and switch. And I every time I would go into a new one, I'm like, no, this one's going to be different.
Mm.
And it wasn't. And it got me thinking, what's the problem here? And I realized the problem was twofold. They were coaching me on information, but without giving me all of the tools to make it work. And number two was that they weren't coaching me on results. So I said, I'm going to build a better way to do this. And I'm going to put it in a way that you get the information you need, but then you also get the results you need. And that's why I put it in as guaranteed, because what I did was, and I was talking to someone, I was developing this. I reached out to one of my old coaches and I said, hey, I'd like to run this by you and get your feedback and tell me what you think of it. And he said, Martin, you've put together something here that's very interesting. A couple of weeks ago, I was in a Facebook chat. This is him talking. And somebody said, you ever notice coaches never have skin in the game? He said, you have figured out how to put skin in the game. Because what I did was I came up with what I call a risk reversal strategy. Okay. And the risk reversal is like this. I'm going to get you to a seven figures within 2 years or less. Seven figures, $1 million, right? So how am I going to get you there? Well, I'm going to say the cost of my program is this, and I only want you to pay me 12.5% upfront. That's for the beginning of the information. And then you don't pay me again until you start making money. And it's not the first dollar that you get in. It's till you get to the point that you're making 2 to 1. And then you go, okay, I'm willing to give you the next 12.5% because you've made me double of what I've put in. And then I don't take money again until there's a 5 to 1 return on your investment. Now, what's happening here? I'm showing you the blueprint and the way to do it. And I'm telling you, I'm here holding your hand and I'll help you build your assets and build your team and go out and figure out how to do it. Because what I learned was, Samuel, to get to a six-figure business, you have to have the right systems.
Yes.
So I start with the systems. Then to build it to seven figures, you have to have the right mindset. It doesn't matter how much you believe in me, and it doesn't matter how much you believe in my program. If you don't believe in yourself, it doesn't matter. So that's where the Worrier to Worrier comes in, right? Because we show you how to shift your mindset to one of abundance. And then to grow that business beyond, you have to be scalable.
Yes.
Right? Have you ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Oh, yeah, I have.
Right. So I was very fortunate. Maybe 20 plus years ago, I was able to meet Robert Kiyosaki.
Wow.
And it wasn't just me and him. There was some other people. I met him one time, me and him at a convention, and he's you know the game. He has a game called Cash Flow.
Yes, yes.
Right. I have a signed board by him. My cash flow board is signed by Robert Kiyosaki. But anyway, I was at a show and he signed my board. But I started following him, and I went to an event and he was there, and he was talking to a few of us after he spoke, and he said, "I want to be the dumbest person in my business." He said, "I want to surround myself with all the smarter people in accounting, in sales, in marketing, in doing my funnels, in whatever, and let them come to me and show me what they're doing. And we have a conversation together. This is why we're doing this, so on and so forth." And so and I took what he said and I changed it to the people that know how work for and with the people that know why. Right. And this is the way I've been doing things for many years. Now, that doesn't diminish the people that know how. They're doing what they want to do. They're excited to do it, and they're getting paid to do it. And they're in a team with me. It's a team. And then a few years ago, I've been doing this for a while. I read a book by a gentleman named Dan Sullivan called Who Not How. And in this book, he talks about when you wake up in the morning and you say, how am I going to do this? And how am I going to do that? And I'm going to spend this many hours doing something I don't know how to do or I don't like doing. You're wasting your time and your energy. What you should be saying is, who am I going to get to do this for me? Because you stay in your zone of genius, what you're best at, and find the other people that they're best at to do that. That's how you become scalable. So I said systems, mindset, and become scalable. So that's what we do in this business, in this coaching program I put together, the 7-figure. The guarantee comes in, you don't pay me another penny if you don't hit your numbers. And I guarantee two other things. One, there's going to be chaos. And when there's chaos, you learn from it and you figure out how to get out of the chaos and move forward. And two, if you don't give up on yourself, I won't give up on you either. And even when you start to give up on yourself, I'm going to be there to light a fire under you and say, let's go, Samuel. Let's get this done.
That's great, Martine. And I like the way you articulated what your business is all about, the 7-figure program is all about. And I'm not an expert in company and business stuff, but I've read a lot of book in that area of leadership and business and cash flow and all of those areas. And the system that you've just put together definitely summarizes the over 50 books that I've read in the area of business and entrepreneurship. And Robert Kiyosaki is one person I used to read his books a lot. I think I've read about 5 books from Robert Kiyosaki. And I just love the way the guy articulates his things, the way it's teach. His books are very easy to read and are very straightforward. And that is why I said, okay, I want you to bring this thing to our audience. And how do we access this program, Martine?
So you're going to put a link into the show notes, right? That link will take you to a workshop that I do. Now, it's not one of these webinars that you go to for 45 minutes and then they go, okay, click this link here and buy the program and do this. And I'm going to only tell you this much. What I present in my workshop is what the program's about, right? And what I did was, what I realized was many people do free workshops, free webinars. But when someone signs up for a free webinar, very often they don't show up. So I said, I'm going to change that thought, because when you pay attention, right? So then I said, I'm going to charge for this workshop. I'm going to charge $27. And then I'm going to take it to another level. Instead of that money coming to me, I'm going to have the money that people pay for the ticket to join go to a charity organization. So I'm thinking about, what charity organization do I want to give the money to? And I remembered in 2006, there was a little girl in my community who was sick with leukemia. And they did a drive for everybody to get swabbed to see if anybody could match her to give her bone marrow transplant. Over 1,000 people signed up. Nobody matched her, and she passed away. But in 2018, I got a call from the Gift of Life organization saying, hey, Martin, you're in our database and you match somebody who lives on the other side of the country. We can't tell you exactly the details, but they need your stem cells. Would you be willing to donate your stem cells? I said, absolutely. So it came, they did it. They tested me, made sure everything was good. Then when it was a week before, they had a doctor come to my house every day to give me a shot to produce more stem cells. And then the day of the event, the day that I went to donate the blood, I sat in a hospital for 5, 6, 7 hours, and they took the blood out of one arm, took out the stem cells, and put the blood back in. At the end of it, they showed me a bag. They go, this bag is going on a plane now to the other side of the country to help the person that you never met. Okay, very good. Congratulations. I'm very happy for them. 2 years later, I get a letter. Hello, my name is so-and-so, and you donated stem cells to me. And I waited this long because I wanted to make sure I was well and healthy. And he told me his journey about what happened when he first got sick, before he was sick, how he went through the sickness, and how once he got the stem cells, things started to happen. And he was very happy to report that he's alive and well. And he says in the letter, he said, we were a perfect 10-point match. Fantastic. He goes, and my background is Scandinavian. I'm like, well, I have no Scandinavian in me. I'm North African, Middle Eastern. But God had a plan.
Yes.
And the plan was 12 years earlier for me to swab my cheek, because one day I was going to be needed to donate. So I decided to have the money that gets raised there, the $27, is going to go to the Gift of Life to pay for all those things that they do to help that person live again, continue to live.
This is great that you have done, Martine. And I'm especially proud of you for that. I'm especially proud of you for that which you've done, because changing lives and influencing people, you have no idea how much that can change many other people's life. It's like a seed that you're planting. And when you plant that seed, it germinates and it goes to flourish and change other people's life. Now that
Yeah.
person might find more other people's life and plant another seed in that person's life, and it continues to grow and grow and grow. This Navy admiral said something one time. He said, if you can change the life of 10 people, and that 10 people go change the life of another 10 people, and that 10 people go change the life of another 10 people, you never know. Maybe in one
Right.
year or in a lifetime, you probably change the life of over 400,000 people, starting
Yeah.
just from you, Martin.
Who
So
knows?
this is
Exactly.
this is
In
amazing.
Judaism, in the Talmud, it
Mhm.
says, if you save a life, you save the world.
You do. Yes. Yes. I'm grateful to God for what He has done through you, Martin. And
Thank you.
Proverbial community, make sure you check out the link below and go see Martin's coaching program. And I watched the video myself, the workshop, and see how it went. And I like what I see. So I would like you to also go and check it out. And if you're interested, try it out. And maybe you can generate 7 figures for yourself. As Martina said, it takes mindset, it takes systems, and it takes the person themselves. So Go through the process. And I hope that God will bring abundance to your life through that process too. And so, what I learned from you today, Martine, is how to go from a warrior to a warrior. Understanding that sometimes, in order to be who you're supposed to be, to achieve that great destiny that God has designed for you, you have to go through some process of refinement, some process of building. Like they always say, diamond is one of the most precious metal in the world, and diamond is formed under immersed pressure. And
Yep.
so sometimes for God to shape you into a diamond, he have to take you to the process of refinement, and which that process is not funny. I can't imagine what it feels like to be married for 25 years and during the day of anniversary, your wife serves you with a divorce letter. That is heartbreaking. That probably will shatter someone's heart. And the
Yep.
fact that you are able to come out from that event and go ahead to change more people's life and to even build this program and coaching is very powerful. It has this life change agent because you're impacting, you're investing in people's life. And those people, like we said, will go change more other people's life. So I really respect teachers and mentors and coaches because I feel like they are the people that change the world. Because
Yeah.
it reminds me of a mentor of mine I had in high school. It was that man, I can never ever forget him. He's one of the people that planted a seed in my life that I'm grateful to God that I met him. I was lucky that I got to serve under him because what it did to me is remarkable and it changed
Right.
my life. And so,
Right.
Martin, you're doing a
Fantastic.
great job. And I'm
Thank you.
really amazed by how you came back out of the depression you were and they didn't stay down there. Many people would have buckled and probably commit suicide and kill themselves and go into drugs and addictions and all that kind of stuff. And so if you're watching this video today and you're probably in that lowest point of your life, maybe someone betrayed you, someone got your heart broken, maybe a relationship you've been for years got ended, let Martine's story today inspire you to know that God still has a plan for your life. It's not done with you yet. But you are the one that's going to initiate that change by coming out of your despair, standing up to believe that the failure you experience does not define you. It's just a process to revealing the real you and how
Yeah.
to take you to that next level. So, thank you so much, the Proverbial Minds, for staying to the end of the podcast today. Thank you so much, Martine, for coming to share with us this great lesson and life experience of yours. But before we close, I have just one question to ask for you. If there's an advice that you would give the world today and young folks like myself, what would it be?
Oh, thank you so much. First thing is, thank you for having me here. This has been an absolute pleasure. Samuel, you are wonderful, so engaging, fantastic. But so it's two part that I'm going to say. Every day, wake up in the morning and write down three things you're grateful for. Gratitude starts your day off right. Okay. Then when you go out in the world, make somebody laugh. I make somebody laugh at least once a day. And then when they laugh, I say, thank you for allowing me to fill my quota of making somebody laugh every day. And they look at me
Wow.
like, what? What are you talking about? I said, yeah. If you just make somebody laugh and you keep walking away, a stranger, they're not gonna remember it. They're gonna forget about it. But
Mhm.
now you make a connection with them, and they go, huh? I said, yeah, it's my goal to make somebody laugh. So thank you for laughing. And they go, wow, that's unbelievable. Yeah, pass it on. Give it to somebody else.
And that's an amazing lesson, guys. Make somebody laugh every day. Make it a goal. And write down three things you're grateful for every morning. I think that's a great way to start your morning. Gratitude determines your altitude. In the Bible, God, I think it says there many times, when you're grateful, God blesses you more. When you thank God for the little He gives to you, it gives you more abundance. Gratitude has a way of reshaping your psychology and shaping your own mindset and your outlook of life for that day. It makes you feel confident. And when you're confident, you can do anything. Trust me.
That's right.
Tried it before. So thank you guys for staying to the end of the podcast today. It is a pleasure to have you. We are really grateful that you took the time to listen to us today and to learn how to go from a warrior from a warrior to a warrior from Martine Salama, our great coach here today, who has given us some of the cheat code of life on how to live fully and to live a life of abundance. So stay tuned for the next episode and make sure you don't miss it. If you have not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, hit notification button so you can be notified when next we post more videos. And follow us on Instagram, Proverbial Minds. Follow us on Apple Podcast. Listen to our podcast there on Spotify. Listen to us too. And visit our inaugural video if you are here for the first time to learn what the Proverbial Mind podcast is all about. But just to give you a tip, the theme of our podcast is the Proverbs of leadership and success. We are in a journey to shape the life of millions of people, to help you develop your leadership skills, to help you develop personally, and to help you to discover yourself and become successful. And to do that, we can't do it without your help. So we need you to click the notification button to subscribe and to like the video and drop comment for feedbacks. Because the more you do these things, you tell the YouTube algorithm that our videos are valued and people love them. Thus, they share it with more people and many more lives change. Remember, when you change 10 people's life, you have changed 400,000 people's life in your lifetime. You never know. So let's engage on this change together and go change lives. If you want to reach out to us for testimonial or anything, is proverbialminds@gmail.com. And until the next one, guys, stay blessed. Peace out.